Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone. Welcome back. Today we're watching woke people speak first and think never. Big statements, bigger mistakes, and instant regret. Kicking things off, a woke official walks in clutching a gotcha, convinced a Twitter handle is a smoking gun.
Did you see that video? No, it's bananas.
Have you ever used Twitter, yes or no?
I have utilized Twitter, yes.
Okay, and is your account at Marcus A97050645?
That is absolutely not my account.
An account under the name Marcus Allen retweeted a tweet that said,
That
quote,
is not my account, ma'am.
You haven't let me finish the question,
Might
sir.
have been the football player.
On December 5th, 2022, an account under the name of Marcus Allen retweeted a tweet that said, quote, Nancy Pelosi staged January 6th.
No, ma'am. That's not my account at all.
I'm
no
asking
idea.
whether you agree with that statement, yes or no?
Can you please rephrase the statement?
Yeah. Do you think
the
that
gentlelady
Nancy
has expired.
Pelosi's-
I know.
Lots of attitude, lots of paper shuffling, zero verification. Then a calm reply shuts it down, politely and repeatedly. The trap snaps shut on the wrong person, the confidence melts, and the timer saves her. Turns out facts do not care about rehearsed outrage. Next, we've got a woke power couple, absolutely convinced they have morality on lock.
This woke couple came ready to debate, but they weren't prepared for the one question that completely flips their logic.
You keep checking me out. I appreciate in front of your wife if you just stop talking about the way I look. Isn't that weird? You usually judge women for the way they look like that in front of your wife. I'm taken. My husband's also here. What is your biggest issue with the Trump administration that drove you to come out today and protest?
The biggest thing that drove me to come out today and protest was reproductive rights.
And you said you're a Christian.
Yes.
What does that mean to you as a Christian?
So I am a Christian, but I also believe that every woman should have bodily autonomy.
Even the women in the womb?
What do you mean, woman in the womb?
So women in another woman's womb, does she have bodily autonomy?
That is a fetus, that is not a woman.
Okay, I've had 2 children. What was I pregnant with?
Wait for it.
You were pregnant with a child.
The speeches are polished, the confidence is loud, and the buzzwords are flying. Then one calm question lands and the logic eats itself. No shouting, no insults, just an awkward pause and an accidental admission. That silence says more than their entire protest. Now, a woke street expert confidently lectures about laws she clearly learned from vibes and Twitter threads.
Even Joe Rogan was surprised by this woke liberal.
Here, let's watch this because it's so funny.
ICE agents are also not doing their job within the full scope of the law. Many are not identifying themselves when being asked to. They are with masks on, which is also illegal to not identify yourself with your face.
What law makes that illegal?
If you are a police officer or an agent of the law, you must identify yourself when asked by civilians. They are violating that when they are going into neighborhoods and being asked by people.
So that's not illegal for them to do that. It's not illegal for ICE agents specifically to cover their face. It's actually not even illegal for them to not read someone their Miranda rights. They can detain anybody for any reason. That person must provide proof for their citizenship. They have every right to do that. That is 100% lawful.
Okay.
If you have something different and a law that backs you up, I would love to hear about it because maybe I'm wrong.
Wait for it.
You know, actually gonna ask that you don't post me on Liberty Hangout. I don't want my face anywhere near you.
Then one calm question asks for something radical called an actual law. The confidence fades, the facts do not cooperate, and suddenly it is please do not post this. Nothing ends fake certainty faster than being asked to prove it. Here we have a woke activist confidently rewriting recent history in real time.
Whenever the woke left managed to come back to their senses, they seem to forget the deranged things they did in the past.
When the scientific advice changes so rapidly, the state had a mindset of you will conform or we will punish you. And it turned out they were making
That's
people...
simply not true.
It is true.
You may have felt uncomfortable being unmasked in public because people would say, hey, be courteous of other people.
I didn't.
Nobody got fired.
I didn't.
Nobody lost their job. Nobody got
people did
exiled.
get fired and did lose their jobs.
No, all that stuff got overturned.
No,
because we are a nation of laws.
People did get fired. They all lost their jobs for not wearing a mask. They were told they couldn't come to work.
Who?
Lost thousands of people.
Okay, so these nebulous people lost their job.
Nick, to be clear, you don't think anybody lost their job in the pandemic for refusing to wear a mask or refusing to be vaccinated?
I think that people who were in public-facing situations where they could have easily taken a scientifically proven preemptive measure.
It wasn't proven.
Yes, it was.
No, It turned out not to be proven. That's my point.
The script says nobody was punished, nobody lost work, and nothing bad happened. Calm pushback shatters that fantasy fast. Once facts show up, the certainty fades. The tone gets smug, and denial becomes the final defense. Reality is not very friendly to talking points. Next up is a woke argument that tries hiding behind "it's complicated" until a simple moral question wrecks the whole act.
He completely dismantles his woke argument with a simple moral fact.
Do you have a single argument for why the unborn before a heartbeat is not a human being and we can kill it?
Yeah, no, my argument is basically that it's a tough judgment call, and I think that if you're making laws in a country that is not a Christian country...
How is it a tough judgment call?
I just think that early on in a pregnancy, like, you have to make laws that are going to be
the equivalent of going back to like when slavery was around and saying, oh, well, slavery is a very complicated issue. These plantations are hiring people. Right. And so exactly, that's what you're saying. Yeah. And I'm saying it's actually really not that complicated of an issue. Yeah. It is a human life worth protecting.
I just wish there was that passion for life from the life of the 1-week-old zygote. I wish we had that passion for the 2-year-olds that are dying.
A third of my generation is gone. They are gone because of abortion, Tim.
The confidence fades, the words stumble, and suddenly history comparisons hit too close to home. When moral clarity shows up, the talking points collapse fast, and the room knows exactly who won. This time, the woke script completely runs out of answers.
What do you mean? What does that even mean? Okay, I'm gonna educate you. If you were biologically born with women parts, you're a woman. You don't. So gender identity is a lie. It's fake. There's only 2 genders: a man and a woman. And you know. Let me ask you a question. How many gender identities are there in nature? How many genders are in a lion? No, because look, if it's natural, it should be in nature. So let me ask you a question. How many genders do a lion have? How many genders do a monkey have? How many genders do a zebra have? How come human beings, if this was true and it's natural, how come human beings are the only one with gender fluidity? Because it's not true. Do horses have multiple genders? No.
It starts with attitude and buzzwords, then reality shows up asking basic questions. Nature does not play along, logic keeps stacking up, and frustration replaces confidence fast. When simple questions get no answers, the shouting starts. That is usually how you know the argument is finished. Next up is a performance meltdown that belongs in a sketch show.
I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for us all. Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Nothing works anymore. Nothing works anymore. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this. I went to Aldi today. Oh wait, I forgot my safety boots. I went to Aldi today. There was a man. He let me in front of the line. He let me in front of the line. He looked at me and said, "You can go in front of me."
Big emotions, zero stakes, and a polite grocery moment treated like a human rights crisis. The outrage spirals, logic never shows up, and then the reaction clip seals it. When satire hits this close to reality, even laughter taps out. Up next is a protest sign with plenty of attitude and zero homework.
What legislation are you most upset about?
There is the trans youth gender affirming laws that they're trying to mix.
Basically the LGBT stuff.
All of it. It's 2023. Like, it's enough.
The question is simple, the answer should be easier, but suddenly it is all stalling and vibes. Specifics disappear, feelings take over, and the year gets cited like it is a law book. Turns out shouting slogans is easier than knowing what you are mad about. This time, here's a podcast moment where the talking points hit a wall.
I have a friend who has a trans kid. He's explained that, like, well, my child from a very young age consistently said, I am a girl, and has never contradicted themselves, never changed their mind. And so the humane thing, and the thing that he felt was going to do as a parent, was to, like, embrace that choice on his child's part. I shouldn't even phrase it as a choice, like, embrace that identity.
If they think that they're a girl, why do you have to give them hormones to make them more of a girl?
Because... I'm sorry, can you expand on the question?
It's a simple question. If the child thinks it's a girl, let it be a girl. Why are you adding hormones? If you're shooting hormones into a child and you're affecting the child's development, you're saying that's not a choice, that's nonsense. Of course it's a choice. You're choosing to chemically change this child's body.
A heartfelt story gets plenty of airtime, but one simple question stops everything cold. Suddenly, the confidence fades, and the explanation needs a redo. No shouting, no insults, just a basic question that the ideology cannot answer out loud. Now for a hearing that turns into a logic crash test.
You equated gun deaths to heart disease in your opening statement.
Yes, sir.
Which is a greater public health problem, gun deaths or heart disease?
Heart disease does kill more folks across the United States, largely in the end of their life.
That's 700,000? Gun deaths about 50,000?
Correct.
Do you support outlawing fried foods?
I'm sorry. How does that relate to...
Because fried foods contribute to heart disease, don't they?
Big comparisons get thrown around like they are settled science. Then one calm question pulls the thread. The stats are confirmed, the analogy gets flipped, and suddenly there is nothing to say. When your own logic circles back on you, silence does the talking. Next up, we've got a street debate that evaporates on contact.
I'm like, yeah, don't trust the government. I know that's the conservative ideology. But also, like, why are we promoting big business instead? These corporations that want to horribly come into our personal lives. I think that's pretty awful.
What businesses?
Oh my God. I can't speak to personal big businesses, yeah,
Okay.
that in general. I'm still really against the Project 2025. Like, yes, these are the
Has anything come true about Project 2025?
quite a bit.
What?
And again, this is all stuff you can find out online. This is easily researchable.
What has come true so far?
So, thank you.
You don't want to comment, or actually nothing from this Project 2025 hasn't come true? None of it's come true. What are you talking about? Okay, I just want to know how Project 2025 has come true at all. And I did like his fingernails though. Those were cute.
Big claims about corporations and shadowy plans sound impressive until one basic follow-up shows up. Suddenly there are no names, no examples, and a quick exit strategy kicks in. Confidence talks loud, facts ask once, and the conversation walks away. Take a look at this, a street interview where certainty shows up without instructions.
Why do you want him impeached?
My green card process has been delayed because of him. So
because of Trump?
I'd say so.
What did he do?
What did he do? I think it's pretty clear.
I'm worried about the future, the lineage of how people are going to take over, and I'd like to see him convicted.
Of what?
Convicted of just so many things that he's done.
What's one thing?
Well, the trying to get a foreign government to help us, to help him in the election, personal campaign.
I think he's ruined our foreign policy. He's ruined the rights of Americans. He's dismantling everything that. Sorry, I get nervous in front of the camera.
Everyone is sure about impeachment until one simple question asks why. Suddenly it is vibes, nerves, and long pauses. Big opinions, tiny details, and a lot of awkward smiling. Turns out outrage is loud, but homework is optional in woke politics. This time it's a barbershop debate where woke talking points get tossed around like facts.
There's a gal right now, her name is Joy Reach. Look up her...
Oh, I know Joy Reach. She's out of her mind.
Look up her educational background. You don't think Harvard gave her a degree just because she was a black person of DEI, do you?
I think she's an idiot. Joy Reid has said things that are so verifiably untrue, it's insane.
Okay, so as a man, I'm going to respect your opinion, your frame of thought on that, right? I beg to differ tremendously, but nevertheless, though, let's really talk about where we need to go from here on. And that is the fact that black people have every sense of entitlement as it relates to having reparations.
And I don't know if you know this, black students in this country get more spending per pupil than white students. That's an actual fact. These were the reparations that were asked of white people throughout each decade given, and then we're told, no, that's not the real one. Whether you think they work or not. And by the way, I think they're dumb. I think we should completely suspend the Federal Department of Education. I think the Texas state could do a much better job. Those were done in the name of racial reparations because they were demanded, and now it's not enough.
Big confidence, big claims, and zero numbers to back them up. Then actual data enters the conversation and the energy changes fast. The speeches stop, the sunglasses stay quiet, and suddenly reality is very uncomfortable to argue with. Here we have a woke street quiz where confidence comes preloaded and logic is optional.
Men can get pregnant. Agree. Illegal immigrants deserve deportation. Disagree. We would be better off had Kamala won.
Yes.
Agree. White people harm America.
Everyone does, actually.
Would you say generally white people, for being white, harm America?
Yes.
In what ways?
They haven't grew up. They haven't learned the true history of things that has happened to not only black people, but other races and nationalities too. And they still have their superiority.
His ability to conduct business because he's trying to conduct.
This is Julie Townsend. She's the executive director, and she says she's going to follow me and disrupt me from talking to people
I'm just
freely.
gonna disrupt you
Okay,
when
we'll move over here because I'm talking to a woman that's trying to tell me about the harm that white people have caused this country.
Bold claims fly, boxes get checked, and nuance disappears on command. Then the conversation gets uncomfortable. Explanations wobble, and suddenly someone rushes in to shut it down. Nothing exposes shaky ideas faster than saying them out loud in public. Next up, we've got a woke gotcha that was supposed to sound brilliant.
The reason that there is a housing crisis is that not enough houses have been built.
And that we have 25 million people who shouldn't be here.
Well, about a third of the construction workforce in this country is Hispanic. Of those, a large proportion are undocumented. So how do you propose to build all the housing necessary by removing all the people who are working in construction?
Well, I think it's a fair question because we know that back in the 1960s when we had very low levels of illegal immigration, Americans didn't buy houses, didn't build houses. But of course they did. People say, well, Americans won't do those jobs.
To work in construction?
Of course you could. Americans won't do those jobs for below the table wages. They won't do those jobs for non-living wages.
Confident setup, smug tone, and a question that thinks it cornered common sense. Then a calm answer flips the whole premise and exposes the real issue nobody wants to admit. The smile fades, the logic collapses, and suddenly the argument has nowhere left to stand. Take a look at this. A woke pay gap narrative strolls into a Senate hearing feeling bulletproof.
Do you take into account the fact that on average a male full-time employee works longer hours than a female full-time employee?
Not directly, no. But we annualise the part-time hours and those that have worked full-time but for part of the year.
What about if you did on an hourly rate? What would be the gender hourly pay gap?
Well, we don't have that data set.
You don't? Okay, so if a woman was working fewer hours but earning the same rate per hour as a man doing the same job, would that show up as a gender pay gap?
One calm question asks about hours worked, then another asks about hourly pay. Suddenly the data vanishes, the confidence freezes, and silence does the talking. Turns out slogans sound strong until someone checks how the math actually works. Here's a good one as a woke student storms in confident, armed with buzzwords and correction energy.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you what you ate to yourself so badly at that frat party.
Taco Bell. I think that if you're so smart, you're shaking. Like, the people watching this is going to see how bad your camera's shaking right now. You look really nervous. You had no trouble when students were standing alongside you to try and heckle me, make fun of me. But the second I ask you for a conversation, you can't stand up for yourself.
All I said is that you should use the correct terms. Developing country is the correct term.
Correct from who? Who said that's the correct term?
The dictionary. We don't use that word anymore because we're not racist.
So talking about correct terms, what is a woman?
A woman is someone who identifies as a woman.
That's what the dictionary says.
Yes.
No. You said it's racist to use the term third world country. Why is that racist?
They're only called third world countries because countries like ours have been exploiting them for a very long time.
Why is it racist?
Because we're specifically using that term to make them feel bad about who they are, and that is wrong.
How is it racist?
Then one simple question flips the whole performance. The hands start shaking, the definitions fall apart, and suddenly the dictionary is nowhere to be found. All that confidence melts fast when slogans are forced to stand on logic alone. Coming up, we've got the press doing what it does best, fishing for outrage while missing the point completely.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
Acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission. The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. Very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession with race and gender in this department that's changed priorities. We don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games.
A harmless phrase turns into a full-blown gender crisis in seconds. Calm facts shut it down fast, and suddenly the narrative has nowhere to run. When competence matters more than labels, the woke word police lose their script and the room. Up next is a media meltdown disguised as a serious interview.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
You had one of the greatest scandals of all time. The coverage of the Biden administration, Joe Biden's diminished capacity, and the cover-up.
And that's why it's probably fair to raise these questions.
Where was it? We just had a 3-hour cabinet meeting yesterday, Andrew. For 10 months, the Biden administration did not have a cabinet meeting. How are you going to invoke the 25th Amendment if the cabinet secretaries never see the president, which they did? I hear from people in the Treasury building that I see President Trump more in a day than my predecessor saw Joe Biden in half a year.
Polished host tries to steer the story, but facts crash the party hard. Suddenly, the cover stories sound shaky, the timelines fall apart, and the usual media confidence disappears. When calm truth hits the table, the woke press has no choice but to squirm and pivot fast. Take a look at this one. A woke commentator loses composure the moment merit gets mentioned out loud.
This woke lady loses her mind when this base gentleman dismantles the woke ideology and tells the panel how they have made us obsessed with race and gender.
Woke movement did destabilize this notion of truth and fiction. It made us obsessed with the idea of race, gender, sexual orientation. It divided us more than ever before. And the key thing about woke, I think, which is often forgotten, I know Yasmin has written about the political correctness era, which was a kind of messy negotiation towards a revision of a social contract. The woke era added authoritarianism. It said, we're going to bully you. It said,
rubbish.
Well, there's a thing called cancel culture.
This is rubbish.
There's a thing called
white
cancel
men,
culture, Yasmin.
It's very interesting. This week, a lot of white men complained. Did you read this in the newspapers? We're not getting the jobs. We're being excluded from shortlists.
No, but
it's
that's
happening.
true.
It's happening to us. And women, quite rightly, wrote columns saying, "Join the club."
But don't you think a meritocracy is a better system
The
than
meritocracy,
judging people on the basis of their skin
It
colour?
has never happened. I have been a journalist for 37 years, right?
Well, wouldn't that be the
No,
aspiration?
hang on. I've been a journalist for 37 years. I've won every award going, and I have been paid less than my white male colleagues all those years.
Well, that's something that you could resolve
No.
with a meritocratic system.
Calm logic lands, and suddenly it's clapping, shouting, and personal grievances instead of answers. When identity politics runs out of arguments, it defaults to volume. Funny how merit is called fake right up until it exposes the flaw in the rant. Now, a woke activist tries flexing family credentials like it's a legal cheat code.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
Representative Leach, are you aware that my grandfather was an assistant attorney general for the state of Texas?
No. Congratulations.
Are you aware that he represented Texas in front of the United States Supreme Court 9 times?
No. Are you aware that my dad worked for Oscar Mayer for 25 years and drove the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile?
Turns out name-dropping ancestors does not win arguments. One calm, sarcastic reply wipes the smugness clean off the room. When ego meets humor and common sense, the whole activist act freezes instantly. Suddenly status means nothing, and logic steals the spotlight. Up next is a case where common sense somehow became a punishable offense.
You complained about a man in the women's locker room and you were punished?
Correct. I was punished because I misgendered him.
You lost your job or you're suspended without pay from your job?
Correct, as the soccer coach.
So you were the creep in this. I have to ask, did other employees at the school take you aside and say we're on your side? Did anyone protest your suspension?
None of the other employees did. Other community members have supported me, though, privately.
Thank you for complaining, by the way. Blake Allen, what did you do wrong in the eyes of the school, and how were you punished?
I was in the locker room, and the trans student walked in, and there was the rest of the team was in there, and I was really uncomfortable, and I left, and I told the school, and they just shut me down and said there's nothing they could do, and I was later suspended because I voiced my opinion that a male shouldn't be in the women's locker room, and then when we filed a lawsuit, they dropped the suspension.
How old are you? How old were you when this happened?
I'm 14, I'm a freshman.
You're 14 years old, and when you complained about a dude in the girls' locker room, you got suspended.
Yes.
Coach and a teenage girl speak up about discomfort, and the system treats them like villains. Jobs lost, suspensions handed out, all for stating the obvious. When feelings outrank reality, truth becomes misconduct. This time, it's a woke double standard getting exposed in real time.
I mean, just my reaction really quick is just like, look, you're free to do porn, but I think you got to understand that my personal view is I don't think it's impossible for a girl who's been involved in that kind of industry to get a guy to get married. It's clear. It's not about change. It's just like, that's your history.
You don't think I think a woman can become a better version of herself, even if they went through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What about women who've been like trafficked and stuff? They can be.
Whoa, you can't compare that at all. No, actually, that is.
Let's not.
You can't even bring that up.
We're not.
Okay, but it's just like, don't judge people who've had a lot of. Some people, like, I didn't even know what I was going into.
Of course, well, actually, no. I will judge people who have had a lot of sex. In the same way that women judge men for a vast list of criteria when it comes to selecting them to potentially be a romantic partner, men are also allowed to have preferences, standards, and boundaries.
But I'm not saying men versus women. Well, I wouldn't judge.
No, it's always this thing with like, well, why are men so judgmental about body count, or women who do this or who do that? Y'all are super fucking judgmental about a myriad of things that matter to you, like a guy's height, a guy's success. There's a guy's penis size. There's a million fucking things that y'all care about.
I guess it's valid.
And that's, for you, that's preferences. But if a man has a preference, that's discrimination. That's judgment. That's somehow wrong.
Suddenly preferences are fine when women have them, but offensive when men do. Logic stays calm while outrage ramps up. Once boundaries get labeled as discrimination, the argument falls apart fast. Turns out equality sounds great until standards apply both ways. Here comes a classic with street interviews, bold claims, and zero receipts.
What are some rights that men have that like women don't then?
Oh, that's a really... Men statistically get paid more than women, even in the same position of power.
Do you work like a job at the moment?
No, I don't.
Okay, got it.
Where I work, I don't see it, but in general, looking at other friends in other industries, and knowing what they're making in comparison to what their peers are making, it's real.
Woke logic says men have secret rights and magic paychecks, but the moment basic questions show up, confidence disappears. One talks theory, another cites statistics, and none can point to real-life proof. This is activism powered by vibes, not facts. And collapsing, the second reality taps the mic. And finally, we've got feelings versus facts, and it ends exactly how you expect.
Somebody has a job that they're working, it's their choice. If somebody is not utilizing their time properly and accordingly, of course the market's not going to pay you
Do you
more.
think that, like, they brought up single mothers earlier. Do you think that single mothers are sitting around playing Fortnite 15 hours a day?
Unfortunately, single mothers were manipulated by what Lyndon Johnson came out with. They changed the benefits on giving single mothers the incentive to have kids on all the welfare program. That changed our system in a major way. The feminist movement got single mothers to believe they don't need men and they're going to do everything by themselves and they don't need a man to help them out. Feminists brainwashed women to believe men are the enemy. That led to where we are today. Last week report came in.
Single mothers?
Yes, in many cases because they don't need men.
Do you have evidence for that?
100%.
You really think a single mother wants to be a single mother?
Absolutely, we have evidence of that. What percentage of the U.S. revenue that we get in you think we use for entitlement programs? Can you guess the number?
I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I've already said that.
68%. How much more entitlement?
68%. Can we fact check that?
You can fact check that.
Okay.
Please do so. Woke talking points try to dodge responsibility, but the moment numbers enter the chat, the script collapses. Patrick Bet David sticks to logic, incentives, and accountability, while the argument runs out of steam fast. Turns out confidence fades when reality asks for receipts. Here's a good one. A woke parody shows what happens when buzzwords collide with basic questions.
Male or female?
Neither. They, them.
What?
That's their pronoun.
Okay, so how many were there?
Oh my god, one, you idiot. They're non-binary.
So does non-binary have a hole or a pole? We just need to clarify.
They who? Who them? Where what? Who's who? Who's who? They, them, or who?
We're having pronoun trouble again.
I was just violently attacked.
By who?
By her. We were just arguing. She used offensive and violent language that violated my rights as an individual.
You all right, love? Keep going. Go. We've zapped 3 of them this morning. They're everywhere today. Were they white?
No.
Were they black?
No, colour doesn't matter, you bigot.
Were they fat?
That's body shaming, sorry.
What do they look like?
A human. That's who you're getting from me, you pig.
Okay, witness says we're looking for an angry, BO-smelling, pink-haired dog with a nose ring over.
Every answer creates 3 more problems. Logic taps out, and the rulebook eats itself. When labels replace clarity, even simple reports become impossible. The satire lands hard because it exposes how fast the whole routine falls apart under pressure. Next up, we've got a brand learning the hard way that woke marketing is bad for business.
I'm not going to bother with this product anymore. I think that Costa Coffee is an absolute waste of time. What? I think that they have absolutely disgraced this country, and I think that they should absolutely get out of it. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to show you this piece of the Costa Coffee cup, because I am damn sick of the way that decent, hard-working mums in this country are humiliated and damaged by people who arrive wearing sports bras when they don't need them, when they've got their Doc Martens with all sorts of trans adverts all over them, and most of all, when they make the double mastectomy, one of the most horrendously embarrassing, hurtful, painful, and sickening things that can happen to a woman. When they make it a sign of masculinity, they can bog off, as far as I'm concerned.
They can bog off, exactly. There is coffee now all over the front of the tents now.
So obviously, first of all, I want to apologise to the News UK cleaners, because unfortunately there is coffee. They can have that as well, I don't care.
Coffee cup turns into a protest, and suddenly corporate virtue signaling looks ridiculous under bright studio lights. When normal people see shock tactics instead of values, the outrage is not confusion, it is backlash. Turns out slogans do not sell lattes. Up next is a street interview that collapses on contact.
Why would you give him a 1? He doesn't understand what he's doing. I think he's spending way too much money on deporting people. Yes, Biden did it as well, so did Obama, but we're spending way too much money on that. And also spending too much money on a ballroom when people with SNAP benefits are literally, they don't have food.
So the ballroom is privately funded, has nothing to do with taxpayer or SNAP benefits. Did you know that?
I did not.
It's completely privately funded, so it has nothing to do with tax dollars or government shutdown or anything like that.
Big confidence, big claims, and then one calm fact lands like a receipt. The talking points dry up instantly, the posture sinks, and suddenly silence does the debating. No shouting required. Turns out outrage runs on vibes, not homework. Here comes another classic Sidewalk sermon that falls apart fast.
He doesn't go after the dangerous people he promised, because they're still here.
Yeah, no, they do go after gang members.
Oh, they do not. That would be too hard. They like to go harass.
You want me to show you some examples of recent ones that have been picked up and deported?
Show me.
Cool, sounds good.
Oh, are they MS-13? Do they have it written on their hand like Trump thought? Oh my God, go away. Nazi boy, bye-bye, Mr. Clue.
You just call me Nazi boy?
Yeah.
What is your reason for calling me a Nazi?
German.
So all Germans are Nazis?
And you believe what you're saying?
It's just basic immigration enforcement, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Big slogans, loud confidence, and zero interest in facts. The moment proof is offered, the volume drops and the insults come out. Evidence gets waved away, logic gets labeled, and the protest turns into a personal tantrum. When facts show up, woke talking points suddenly need an exit. Now check this out. A woke protester goes full confidence mode, rewriting history like facts are optional and vibes are evidence.
Germans are the victims.
The Germans are the ones who recognize the issues that the Jews had with other people and the entitlement that they had with their religion, and so now they're committing genocide in order to grant land grab, just like the United States did.
Oh, why don't you sit here and say, I am so sorry, World War II Germany. You want to apologize to Germany?
I would like you to step away from me peacefully.
She said we should be apologizing to Germany. I've never seen a Hitler apologist before in my life. As I was walking away, she said, you're in a fascist cult. I'm not the one saying we should apologize to Germany.
She talks entitlement, genocide, and moral superiority all in one breath, then collapses the second logic shows up. This is what happens when activism runs on slogans instead of thinking. Loud certainty, zero grounding, and a worldview that defeats itself on contact. Here's a good one, a campus question that thinks it has teeth until logic shows up.
You openly support platforms that take away trans people rights and openly do not agree with the fact that men can become women, women can become men.
So number one, that's not taking away anyone's rights, that's a recognition of reality. And also 2 + 2 = 4 is not a reversal of anybody's rights. You have a right to say what you want to say, but you certainly do not have a right to demand that everybody else say it with you.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything. It's kind of like the government's trying to tell the people that they can't do something.
You can do what you want to do. You just can't dictate to anyone else what they do about it. That's how human relations work.
How come you can do the same thing?
I don't even understand the question. I'm not doing the same thing. I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'm literally not forcing you to do anything. I'm telling you to leave me alone.
Lots of moral grandstanding, lots of buzzwords, then a clean response cuts through it all. No anger, no panic, just reality doing its job. You can watch the argument stall out while common sense calmly asks to be left alone. Now for a panel moment that makes the room go quiet fast.
Having had my biological father murdered by a black man, having had my cousin shot in the head by a black man, we can talk numbers and statistics and what the people are doing and what the white man is doing and all that. But at the end of the day, I see we kill each other at a disproportionate rate than any other race. People that sometimes have your stance that are against conservatives have this claim that they're making it up, they're making up the numbers. We know that we do that to each other. So I want to get to the root of the issue. Why are we killing each other? I think the root of the issue is we've lost our values and we've lost our resilience as black people. We sit there and we talk about what the white man did and we talk about slavery and everything like that, but we have no self-accountability and say, you know what, at the end of the day, that is my black grandmother, that is my black sister, you are my black sister, and you know that a black man is more likely to rob you or commit some type of crime against you. Well, what's going on? I think it's the breakdown of the family.
One side circles the usual talking points, then accountability enters the chat and flips the table. No slogans, no finger pointing at history, just personal truth and values laid out clean. You can feel the discomfort settle in when excuses stop working. Now, a woke supporter beams with pride, all compassion and slogans, until help suddenly needs her address.
Shut the f*** up, that is hilarious.
Do you support Kamala?
Absolutely.
Okay, we have a question for you. All right, you see these 3 fine gentlemen over there? They just came over illegally. We need a home.
I don't know what.
You have one.
I live with a lot of people in my house.
Oh, that's fine. The more the merrier.
Yeah.
Could you translate and tell them she said yes?
So should we set them up in the front lawn or do you want us to set them up inside? I didn't say yes.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I said no. I'm sorry.
The smiles vanish, the excuses pile up, and the backtracking hits turbo speed. Turns out open borders sound amazing when someone else is hosting. Nothing exposes fake virtue faster than asking for real skin in the game. Up next is a woke student preaching equity with full volume and finger snaps.
Holy shit. He said what?
Keep on raising awareness and I hope that we reach more equity soon.
We actually have a equity commitment form, and this is a voluntary university relocation form that you can actually give up your spot at university for a member of the Tongva tribe. Something that you'd be willing to do for this underrepresented, underprivileged community?
Honestly, no, but I hope somebody else does. That's great.
Big talk about fairness, justice, and doing the right thing. Then a real offer hits his lap, and suddenly equity is someone else's job. The passion fades, the answer flips, and generosity becomes hypothetical. Amazing how fast principles retreat when they cost something. Here's a good one. A woke question tries to bend reality with identity, logic, and confidence.
Here, let's watch this because it's so funny.
If I identified as black, would you affirm me in that and call me black?
No.
Why not?
Because you're not black.
Thank you. If I said I was a man and I said I identify as a man, would you accept that and affirm me in that?
It depends. Are you transitioning or not? If you're on testosterone and
Thank you for not saying that I'm black because that would be a lie.
Oh, yeah.
Just like me saying I'm a man would be a lie, no matter how much testosterone I took.
One straight answer shuts it down instantly, no hesitation, no word salad. The follow-up backfires, the logic tangles itself, and the room goes quiet. Turns out the truth is very inconvenient when feelings are running the argument. Next up is a textbook meltdown where feelings try to pass as evidence.
This is a perfect example of what happens when facts meet feelings.
I was born black, I'll be black all my life. I don't want to hear anybody say that the Republican Party has not gone out of its way to keep people who look like me away from the ballot box, because it's painfully untrue. It is something that has been charged in the courts time after time, decade after decade, particularly across the South, where the largest concentration of black people live.
Has anyone ever personally tried to stop you from voting? Answer no. Number two, there are no illegal voters. Number three, in this country, I hate to remind you of our history, but it was the Democratic Party that tried to suppress black votes in this country, not the Republican Party.
Big emotions, big accusations, and a lot of historical vibes doing the heavy lifting. Then calm questions start stacking up, facts get numbered, and the story collapses fast. Turns out outrage sounds powerful until someone asks for proof instead of applause.
This is the perfect example of the insane madness of the left.
Do you believe that race should be considered in employer hiring practices?
I do not believe that white people are the only qualified people for jobs.
I didn't say that. Nobody said that. I asked you if race should be considered in employer hiring practices. And you're not going to intimidate me by slandering me as a racist.
You're also, I did not call you a racist.
No,
you're not going to intimidate me by insisting that I called you a racist.
Straightforward question. It's a yes or no question. Should race be considered in employer hiring practices? Yes or no?
I believe that diversity ought to be considered as companies and other organizations attempt to reflect their customers, our country.
I'll take that as a yes. Which race do you think should be preferred?
I do not think that a single race should be preferred.
You just said that you believe that race should be considered in employer hiring practices.
I don't know. There's going to be a transcript of this hearing. I didn't say that in that way.
Okay, why don't you explain what you believe?
A simple question turns into word salad, accusation bait, and panic once the follow-up lands. No yelling, no insults, just calm pressure. Woke logic hates clarity, and the moment it faces a yes or no, it collapses on itself fast. Next up is a woke panel that tries to run the usual guilt script, expecting agreement and silence.
Holy. He said what?
When we came over here in slave ships, was that racism?
No.
That wasn't racism?
Why do you say that was racism?
To capture and force people to go somewhere that they don't want to go.
And who were the racists promoting that, doing that?
So-called white men.
No, that's not true.
It's not true.
Black people were sold into slavery by blacks. It was the Arabs who sold the blacks across the world. It wasn't white people who just tiptoed over to Africa and just took white folks. They've been sold by other black people. And they're still doing that today in parts of Africa where blacks are enslaved by other blacks and Arabs.
Instead, they get a calm answer that shatters the approved story instantly. No anger, no theatrics, just facts that leave the room stunned. The moment reality shows up, the outrage disappears, and the talking points collapse right on cue. Now here's a smug moderator trying the polite shutdown while the woke script starts wobbling.
Vance fires back at this smug moderator.
Just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank you.
Margaret, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing. Have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris...
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
Rules suddenly change, mics start getting threatened, and interruptions fly fast. Calm facts were never part of the plan. When clarity shows up, the moderators panic, rush the clock, and hope viewers forget what was just said. Spoiler alert, they did not. Here's a good one. A woke college argument sounds confident until it meets basic logic in real time.
Rob Schneider continues to educate woke college students with facts.
I'd also want to bring up the issue with trans in schools. I do think children should be allowed to have that knowledge on if they want to transition on what they want to do.
If I have a boy and he thinks he's a pirate, do I have the right to cut off his knee and take an eye out and give him an eye patch?
I think once it gets to that certain point.
What's the point where I can cut off my son's knee because he thinks he's a pirate?
That's purely between a parent and a child.
Okay, not at 14.
If you are under 25 years old, they don't even let you rent a car in this state. What does Avis, Enterprise, and Hertz know know, that the medical establishment seems so blissfully ignorant about.
Rob stays calm while the talking points fall apart fast. Suddenly, nobody can explain where the line is, who decides it, or why common rules vanish. When simple comparisons expose the holes, the woke crowd goes quiet and pretends the question was unfair. Here comes a classic as a woke questioner lines up a moral trap, confident that a buzzword will end the debate.
Pregnant Candace Owens is not playing games.
Recently in Texas, there was a boy who won the girls wrestling state championship. Do you think that he should have been allowed to compete in that division?
I think that a man taking down a woman on a map should warrant a call to the police. If they want to have their own division, go for it. In fact, I would love to watch it. But what is unacceptable is that we have these divisions. This is for women, this is for men, and you have people that are allowing men to compete in these women's divisions and to obviously dominate. Riley Gaines, who has spoken about how she competed against Leah Thomas and it was not fair. I am open to Leah Thomas.
Say it's not fair.
Don't ask me a question and then cut me off when I give you the answer. It's just obnoxious. I am open to Leah Thomas and every other trans person having their own category at the Olympics and allowing them to compete.
I love that you're saying this separate but equal.
What? We already have men and women divisions, so is that separate but equal? Next question.
The answer comes back fast, simple, and grounded in reality everyone already accepts. No panic, no backpedaling, just logic doing its job. The gotcha flips, the mic goes quiet, and the moment ends right there. Up next is a woke panel moment where feelings are treated like credentials.
So I identify as non-binary and trans at the same time. I believe non-binary is under the trans umbrella. I'm neither, I am both, I am beyond.
I completely reject how non-binary people specifically have injected themselves into the trans label. I am a transsexual. There's a medical basis for that. There's a scientific basis for that. And for non-binary, it's really not the case. I think that non-binary is more of a political term than anything else, which is why I've never met a non-binary Republican, non-binary Libertarian. It's clearly an invention of the left.
There is so much variance. You are not a trans woman of color. You are not a poor trans woman. You have different experiences as a trans person.
Yeah, everything's nuanced, but at the end of the day, there's a very fine line between someone who's a transsexual.
You don't know my life. You don't know my experiences with gender dysphoria. You don't know my
life. I'm not saying that. Like, you're not trans. Like, there's a medical definition of being a transsexual.
I'm gonna stop you. Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
You okay?
Yeah.
Do you feel like talking? You don't have to.
One side delivers a long identity speech loaded with labels and politics. Then a blunt response brings definitions, science, and limits back into the room. The confidence cracks, the mood shifts, and suddenly someone rushes in to check emotions. Logic lands, and the argument quietly taps out. Now for this one, a woke student confidently drops the Hitler comparison like it is a mic drop.
We were asking students today, if Donald Trump was in your classroom, you were his teacher, what would you grade him on a scale?
D.
What has he done that bumps him up from an F? Has he done anything good?
No.
Not passing, but not an F.
He's not close. Quite Hitler, but...
Is he getting close?
Depends how you define it.
Okay, why would you say that?
I don't know. It's the people he associates with. It's not necessarily only stuff that he has said or done. It's the people, I guess you could say some of the more extreme people in the party. Specific names I'm a bit fuzzy on.
He wants to halt migration from third world countries. Do you think we should halt all migration from third world countries? What is a third world country?
Well, also called the Global South, also called developing countries. It's a country with probably not like a stable economy or government.
Crime, poverty, lots of rape, oppressing women.
I didn't really consent to an interview. I just didn't want to be rude, so...
Okay, yeah, no, I'm not holding you here. You can leave. Yeah, all right, at least you didn't call Trump Hitler. That's a good one, refreshing. I like that.
Then comes the follow-up, simple questions, basic definitions, and suddenly the certainty disappears. No facts, no examples, just vibes and a quick exit. Turns out bold claims sound great until someone asks you to explain them out loud. Take a look at this. A woke bureaucratic idea floats into a hearing. Convinced words are the real danger.
Deputy Administrator stated that when we use terms like airmen or unmanned aircraft, we're sending a message that only men belong in the aerospace community. Sorry, I'm laughing because this has to be a joke. Wife, the word wife, is an example of the type of language that we need to eliminate. And I'm just asking if that's something you think is necessary or something you support.
I'd have to give that one some more thought.
If there's a pilot who is offended by the word wife or the word cockpit, maybe that person shouldn't be a pilot. So rather than kowtowing to people who are fragile, maybe we should actually say, if you're so worried about the words that we are using, you shouldn't be flying multi-ton metal engines through the sky. And I just ask all of us to maybe try to focus as much on real problems, like the fact that our aviation system seems to not be working as well as it used to, than the fact that we may use uninclusive or under-inclusive language.
Then a common sense response cuts through the nonsense and asks why fragile feelings should outrank safety and competence. The room gets quiet, the script falls apart, and suddenly nobody wants to defend canceling basic language. Reality lands hard. Now, here's a street take that flips itself in real time.
Shouldn't deport illegal immigrants because they might cure cancer or cure diseases. Would you agree with that?
I don't see why not.
Sounds like a good argument for why we shouldn't babies in abortion, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that you're consistent with your views. So you're against abortion?
Yeah. Wait, what? No.
The logic sounds great when it targets immigration, but watch what happens when the same idea gets applied elsewhere. Agreement turns into panic, the nodding stops, and the mental brakes slam on. Turns out consistency is only popular until it backfires. Here's a good one as selective outrage finally gets called out loud.
It is the selective outrage and what is actually behind it, because once again, if I have to get into one more fight with a f***ing Californian about how Trump is when their heroes manipulated the law in such a nefarious way and there was zero outrage, and then they go, due process. You buffoon, do your homework before you tweet it one more time. Due process.
Jillian, let's go. That's what we needed from Jillian Michael. We're waiting on this all day, Jillian.
A calm room turns electric as hypocrisy gets named without filters. The talking points crack, the buzzwords fall apart, and suddenly homework matters again. No dancing around it, no soft landing. Turns out yelling about morals hits different when receipts show up. Now for a hallway ambush that ends in seconds.
Representative, will you commit to opposing a nationwide abortion ban?
Will you commit to putting some sunscreen on those legs? Man, I gotta wear welding goggles out here, they're so wide.
Big political question, serious tone, camera ready. The response skips policy entirely and goes straight for comedy gold. One offhand line, zero slowdown, and the interviewer freezes in place. Sometimes the fastest way to shut down performative outrage is not debating it at all. This time, virtue signaling meets a real-world follow-up.
Would you guys be willing to take in asylum seeker to your home and foster them and take care of them?
Yes, if we were involved with an organization that needed temporary placements for asylum seekers, that would be something we...
Well, my organization is Liberty Hangout, and I have an asylum seeker.
Illegal, yeah.
The reason we can't do it right now is we are literally moving.
Big hearts, big promises, and lots of nodding when it is all hypothetical. The second it gets personal, excuses start flying faster than the moral speech. Suddenly, compassion has a moving date. Turns out helping everyone is easy until it means helping someone yourself. Here comes a heckler who thought insults count as arguments.
Pardon me?
Are you an MS-13 member?
Hey, that's okay. No. I got a question for you. Why don't you come up here and hand me that picture? Bring it. They got morons like this all over the country. This guy wouldn't respect the surface nation. This guy ain't got the balls to be an ICE officer. He hasn't got the balls to be a Border Patrol agent. The only thing that surprised me, you don't have purple hair and a nose ring. Get out of here, you loser. I guarantee you, he sits down to pee.
One cheap jab gets thrown from the crowd, and the response hits like a freight train. No dodging, no backing up, just direct energy and zero fear. The room erupts, the heckler disappears, and confidence proves louder than woke heckling ever was. Up next is a woke philosopher who starts defining feminism with 15 disclaimers, 3 identity footnotes, and 0 answers.
What is feminism for you?
Feminism for me mostly is breaking free from specific gender norms that, well, limits both men and women in, well, general life. We are also, in the economic space we're also quite limited sometimes. Like, women are still, for example...
You say we, so you identify as a woman?
Not completely, but like...
So what do you identify as, if I may ask?
Not really much at the moment. Mostly men, some bit of women, that I don't care.
You're figuring out, or... Okay. Yeah. How does that work, figuring out something like that?
It's mostly just trying to basically question the kinds of thoughts and ideas you have. For some people it's like, okay, I was born with a penis. I hate that thing. and it feels weird to have.
One basic question turns the theory into confusion, and suddenly nothing means anything. This is modern activism in action. Endless feelings, flexible labels, and no solid ground anywhere. When everything is fluid, the argument dissolves on contact. Here's what happens when woke logic collides with basic fairness and instantly starts tripping over itself.
I find it unbelievably ironic that the same people that celebrate Leah Thomas, a biological male competing against females, are the same people that you see on commercials trying to get women's sports popular and talk about how great women's sports is. It almost makes me think they realize that they can't make the WNBA popular, so let's just put NBA players. The NCAA, I wore this shirt today actually, if the people can't read it. It says 50 years of Title IX creating opportunities. They handed out this shirt at our NCAA championships where we had a man win a national title. They love using the term equity. And it's like, do you know what equity means?
Yeah, they don't.
No. Do you know? I want to throw a dictionary at you.
It's crazy to have this whole situation of people who are being silenced and not being heard as women. Yeah. After that women's rights, I guess, don't matter.
So what are the next steps for you personally, but also for this movement? Do you think the tide will turn at any point here?
Actually, that's a pretty good analogy you use. The tide, because Bethany Hamilton, who is, of course, the surfer who lost her arm in a shark attack, but she said that will not be participating in any sort of World Surf League competitions if men can compete.
They call it equity, then silence the actual women who trained for years. Titles vanish, records disappear, and the gaslighting ramps up. Funny how empowering women somehow ends with women told to sit down and clap anyway. And finally, here's someone who tries gaming the system and calls it self-care.
I just found out my wife just left her corporate job for a cashier job. She's like, she wants to get out of the payments that she's doing.
Payments of what?
Child support, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a reason why you're not paying to support this child?
I left my job. The reason why I left it, and I did do it intentionally.
Wait a minute. You intentionally left your job?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I had enough money in savings to still provide for my child and still provide medical insurance. So I felt that, the stress of my divorce wasn't inhibiting me from performing my job.
Okay. First of all, how much did you make at your last job?
I annually $70,000.
$70,000, okay. And that's your only job?
It was my only job. Now I work at a convenience store.
Doing what?
Head clerk.
Okay, how much are you making now?
About $30,000 a year.
$30,000. And what type of education do you have?
I have my master's.
You have a master's degree and you're a head clerk. What's the qualification to work at that job?
You just need a high school diploma.
High school diploma. And you have a master's degree. I'm not about to play with you. $70,000 a year. You said you covered a child on health insurance. How much is that?
$300 a month.
Ma'am, I'm going to make you pay child support. You came, obviously, in this courtroom to waste my time.
A master's degree suddenly turns into a cashier badge, all to dodge responsibility. The judge is not buying the performance. When woke excuses meet basic math and accountability, the act falls apart fast. Turns out quitting your job does not quit your obligation. And there you have it. When performative rage meets the real world, the results are rarely flattering. Shouting slogans and throwing accusations might earn likes online, but consequences do not care about your hashtags. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy watching reality interrupt the outrage economy. We will see you next time.